And we are live. Welcome back, creative community. Once again, this is Lorenzo from the COACHMC studio. This is the place where we help you actors, creators, performers, singers, stand-up comedians, entertainers of all sorts and kinds, of all walks of life, to produce incredible, remarkable, impactful, genuine performances and entertainment in order to really stand out in the audition room. Welcome everybody to the COACHMC studio. This is the place where we shape those unique behavior deliveries that are interesting, compelling, and intriguing. And welcome everybody to Open Class Doodles. This is episode 12, I believe. And maybe you know the concept by now. We're talking about tactical doodles for success. So we are breaking down whatever serves us on our trajectory to become household names in entertainment industry. So whether we're talking songs, whether we're talking about history, whether we're talking about movies, we're always kind of analyzing and structuring and always giving you also, food for your thoughts in terms of those tactical doodles with those drawings to really kind of exemplify what we're talking about. And today I couldn't be more honored because with me on the show is a YouTube superstar. We can call him this way. It's white metal. It's the artist formerly known as Film Rebel now is White's Metal. He's a shill. He's with us on the program every Saturday Night Hypnosis, but he's also a great content creator. He's a singer. He's the leader of the band Dark Insanity, coming out of California, out of Long Beach today. And with him, we're going to analyze love songs, of course, right? Well, what should a rapper and a metalhead do? Analyze love songs and where they come from, what they're going to evoke in us, why they are good, and how to create them also, right? Because this is not just a consumer session. It's trying to be both, right? We want to serve you some good and juicy stuff so you can create on your own. And songs are a beautiful metaphor for all of our endeavors, or it's also a little bit of entertainment for that reason as well. So without any further ado, let's jump right into today's class. Let's welcome White later on, and let's see what's cooking. I mean, yeah, of course. Well, what should a rap and a metalhead do? They talk about love songs. Welcome, everybody.
What's up, everybody? Of course, the topic we'd pick is probably like cheesy 80s love songs and nothing to do with like stuff we listen to now. Or I listen to that all the time, too, so hey.
Yes, and besides that, first of all, thank you so much, man, for taking your time. You're on the West Coast right now. How are you? What's up? Introduce yourself also really quickly to the creative community.
Yeah, thank you for having me, sir. I am the artist now known as White's Metal. I started off as Film Rebel on YouTube, which is still there. I wouldn't say that Film Rebel is gone. It's just not the priority by any means at this moment. It's like all of the Disney movies under Kathleen Kennedy. They're not gone. They're gonna happen.
Yes, unfortunately. There.
I make content on heavy metal, videos relating to metal. I make fun of everybody's favorite bands, get a lot of hate comments for it. I also make really interesting videos on music festivals. And then obviously with Film Rebel, I've talked about movies, entertainment. I have a history of acting and around the film industry. So I have a lot to say on that, a lot of opinions and creative ideas in that realm as well. And I like to take part in some online shit talking like we tend to do on Saturdays on Saturday Night Hypnosis with Hypnotic.
Yes, we like to do all that because we are people with many facets, right? So welcome everybody. Also Monica, D'Emilia, Tesoro, ciao Lorenzo, come stai? Welcome Laura Culò. Ciao Lorenzo, ti auguriamo il meglio per tutte, ti mandiamo un grande abbraccio. They wish us the best and they send us big hugs. Thank you so much also to the Facebook community, Instagram community right now watching with us. You are also more than welcome to join us over here on YouTube and smash the like button. Just smash that thing right into the ground. Show the algorithm what you cherish and what you like to see, because otherwise the algorithm is going to define that for you solely and alone. So smash the like button, show what it is that you love.
And it really does define it for you. You watch like one video and suddenly your whole algorithm is this whole other shit. And you're like, none of the things I watch come up anymore. It's all exactly. Like this weird
stuff, right?
Rabbit hole. Yeah.
But on one hand, I can also understand, because so many creators are getting added to the YouTube world every day, and so of course they want to distribute the stuff as fast as possible, check out what works and whatnot. But hey, over here, if you recognize a channel like White's Metal that sometimes risks his life to produce content for you guys, right? and that mental and physically, right? He endures all this stuff in order to kind of give you his take on stuff, so you don't have to watch it or see it, or maybe like giving you a reason to buy like products or go to a festival or listen to his music. So this is all content creation. You see this, like our spectrum here is more long term. So of course for us it's truly important also to kind of see the likes, because it goes such a long way to support our endeavors. And look who we have here. Look, we have, what's up, Hypnotic? Oh snap, the boys are live. Yes, we are live and direct. And today we're going to talk about love songs, about songs, and not only songs per se, is what we can learn out of songs. Because you know me, guys, this is the COACHMC studio. I love to coach you guys also, or like as a reflection coach myself too, of course, because I learn from these conversations with musicians and filmmakers such as White, right? There's a lot of stuff that I can always take out of our conversations that is always great and very inspiring also. So we all coach, we are all coaching ourselves, but it's not just the entertainment kind of to look at a song. It's also to understand, hey, how can I apply this? How can I apply a song structure? How can I apply melody and keys to all sorts of creative endeavors, right? Let's say I have a monologue, right? And, I want to perform a dramatic monologue. Let's say it's an audition at a casting director's office. And so I just just watched this episode of the Open Class Doodles, and I learned a little bit of songwriting about, cheesy songs and what instruments they use. And maybe I spot some of that stuff also in my monologue, and I can now apply it here and kind of turn that monologue into a remarkable piece of art, and just replicating words. Now try to insert a spirit, something that you've learned from another source. What do you think?
No, absolutely. And then you take that same monologue and the romantic part turns into the end of the relationship. And that's when you bring in the death metal and you start blasting all of your anger.
I like that.
No, I know. I agree with exactly what you're saying. Is a technique that I use a lot for learning songs and like for preparing for shows. Like right now I'm learning lyrics to prepare for a concert I have this weekend. Right. And it helps for me to visualize what those lyrics actually are, so that when I'm listening to the song, they kind of have that like mental movie already going, and helps pick up with what's coming next. Beautiful. And then you can already kind of shape a vibe or like an emotion, I guess, from channel the energy you're getting through it, I guess.
That's absolutely beautiful. And before we start with the nitty-gritty, just a little public service announcement on the 17th. Hey. This is this Saturday. It's gonna be 12 p.m. noon Eastern Standard Time. It's my volume 2 of the audition tips free masterclass coming up, so you can register right down with the link below over here in the description. It's gonna be a fun time. It's completely for free, and we're gonna talk about the audition process in a bit more specific, a bit more peculiar way, right? We started volume 1 with more the fundamentals. Now we're gonna actually jump into the audition and gonna see what we can do with the audition. What are some instruments, some tips, some tricks, or also some insights that I've learned throughout my 35 plus years of acting working experience that you can kind of insert into that process in order to stand out. So don't miss out on this one. It's completely for free. You can register down below in the link, or directly on Eventbrite, or through my link tree also on Instagram. Don't miss out on this beautiful masterclass. It's also a great opportunity to network with other people, kind of exchange information. There's a final Q&A with me, and there's so much to explore and to learn, like every time we come together. So don't miss out on this one. Hey, TD, how are you, sir? Nice to have you. No, absolutely. What you were saying is spot on. I mean, it helps you not only to visualize like, I understand the song better. Is like, okay, let's say I have a concert. Let's say I have a presentation. Let's say I have I got to play on stage, a theatrical play, right? Where I'm going to be a couple of hours on stage, and kind of to map out my emotional islands, to see how this whole thing has to evolve, right? To visualize how I'm, what I want to show in the first act and the second act and in the third. Well, what is it important about my character? All these things, right? These are the reflections that kind of build that type of mastery mindset.
You're right. Yeah, emotional islands kit was like a keyword that like triggered my acting brain. I'm like, oh yeah,
True, that was something. No,
yeah,
but like because a monologue in itself is nothing else than a song, or vice versa, right? You have your
yeah,
intro, you have a lot of concepts and aspects that are also present in the
absolutely.
song that are also present in monologue.
And then songs are a very emotional experience too. So if the songs change throughout moments of it too. So you have playing some like really big epic and you're like really going through something. Yeah, you're going to
Mhm.
be channeling a lot through that process. I argue that music in general is still some of the most like magical art forms that there are. Because like I just was at a ton of concerts on a cruise ship that I was just on, seeing a bunch of metal bands, and like some of the best moments are the bands are performing amazing music. But they're not like doing much. They're just
Mhm.
standing there performing it. But the
Mhm.
music is so overwhelming and powerful that you
Mhm.
get like emotional. You start get tearing up and
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely. And talking about that, we our first open class doodles about music, we just kind of recorded a couple of weeks ago. We went live with "We Are the World," the documentary, commenting on that, but also extrapolating the song, analyzing the song, and what a crazy endeavor it was to get basically all rock stars, all pop stars, all like any major star that was present at that day in that moment in time, maybe except Prince and Madonna. Everybody was in that room singing that one song. How
Mhm.
crazy is that? So you want to check out the open class doodle about "We Are the World," kind of also referencing to the Netflix documentary that was well made. I enjoyed that thoroughly, and the song, of course, is also beautiful. And we talked about that.
Yeah, I wanted to check out that documentary.
It's really cool, man. It's incredible. And like you're saying, like songs can really spark emotions, right? Songs can spark pictures and all that. And they're super important because they give our brain the opportunity to travel somewhere without us necessarily physically. Like you said, they were just standing there, just
Mhm.
playing and just singing something, but your brain was traveling somewhere else with their help, right? So it's
Absolutely. My brain in that specific moment, my brain was time traveling because I was watching a band that I've
nice.
loved since I was a teenager that I've seen several times. And I was like really having visual flashbacks to other moments I'd seen them at other points
Hmm.
in my life and everything. And
Hmm.
that's either the power of the music or proof that I should be locked up in an insane asylum, whichever you
But
want to
funny
go with.
enough, the song that I picked today that I want to kind of show people and talk about the lyrics and everything has a lot to do with what you just described. So that's a really cool thing.
Okay.
Again, to the Facebook and to the Instagram crowd, come over here, smash the like button, join us over here, and also join this beautiful. Like this gentleman has such a great channel. It's 3 trillions of subscribers. So join the incredible universal crowd that is present and is super fun reviews and his explorations of metal music, his own band. You got a lot of stuff going on, man. I love your channel.
Yeah, dude. But thank you. Appreciate that.
I know. It's a lot of work, of course.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's
It's
a
a lot
lot
of
of work.
work.
There's a lot going on at the moment.
Have you
Not
brought a
bad.
song with you? Do you have something that you had like that you wanted to talk about? I have this song, or should we just jump to the one that I'm proposing right now?
Let's jump to what you're proposing. I'll probably
All
think of
right.
something.
All
Sure.
right. So I want to talk about "Stand by Me" by Benny King, right?
Mhm.
It's um it's a song that has a lot of ways on how we can interpret it. It's a beautiful song because it's of course a love song, but in a way, it's why we're talking love songs today is more like, what is a love song actually? What is a love song to you actually? What is it necessarily about love? Does it necessarily talk about relationship? What do you feel like should a love song contain?
Oh man, that's hard to say. I think really just I think my only answer would be that a love song should contain emotion.
Hmm.
Because I mean, love can be conveyed in so many different ways, as songs can have
Hmm.
so much different meanings to different people. So you could have a song that's probably like kind of "I love you, baby" and whatever, and then you could have
Sure.
one that's a lot deeper and philosophical and whatever.
Sure,
So
sure.
I really think, but all of those will fall flat if it's just robotic and plastic, or it will be a number one hit song nowadays. But um, I feel like just any good love song just has to have like heart and emotion to it, something that
Mhm.
the human feeling connects to and
Again,
longs for in a way.
Is Nothing Else Matters in from Metallica? Is that a love song in your opinion?
It could be.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it definitely could be, depending
Mm-hmm.
on what it means to a specific person.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's, I think, the beauty of like what you said about the cruise. Also, you were traveling somewhere, and this is the same thing that happens to me when I sing or I hear or listen to "Stand by Me." I travel immediately to that place I once was with my mom. We were in the movies. I was watching "Stand by Me" in the upper theater, and she was down there watching Dirty Dancing. "Stand by Me" was over a bit sooner, so I sneaked into her theater and watched at the end the great finale of Dirty Dancing with my mother. Saw her crying, and that was just a beautiful little experience I shared with my mom, and to this day, when I listen to "Stand by Me," it kind of brings me back. It reminds me of that theater. It reminds me of me sneaking into the theater doing this, slightly illegal thing. I don't know. I was like 12 years old or something, 13 years old. I was already like allowed to watch
criminal.
I was a criminal.
You're a rebel already.
Oh my
Sneaking
goodness.
into real cinema.
Man, I'm a real warrior. No, but it's interesting that like you said, like we're time traveling with the songs, and especially love songs. They kind of, when they're not cheap, because it's so hard to produce them, right? I used to write songs as well. I still do today, and I also brought a song of mine.
You write a song every single time I see you. Like every time there's background music, you are just immediately making up your own lyrics over. You're writing a song every time you're speaking.
Thank you, man. That's exactly what I do, actually. Yes, I love to freestyle. But back in the days, I was really like writing rap songs, recording them, performing them on stage. It was like the recording artist type of process. And back then, of course, it was rap. Not of course, it was rap music for me. So in rap music, there are not a lot of love songs and emotional, sensitive songs, because it was kind of considered something in not being part of that genre, of that world, right? And also when I think of like heavy rock or metal, I don't necessarily think, even though they are, like when I think of More Than Words from Foreigner, I mean Foreigner is a rock band, not Foreigner, it's More Than Words was what was the band again? Oh, we have to check this out.
It's gonna be when we're both like, oh.
Extreme, the band called Extreme, right? It was a rock band, and still, like to this day, More Than Words.
I know Extreme.
It's a fantastic song. It's an incredible song. It's a love song. I mean, for sure. But it's coming from a place where you don't expect it to come from, and this is what I always like, to look into places and kind of find new nuances, new pieces, and kind of see, hey, what is White's take on love songs? What is a metalhead thinking about? Like when should it be a love song, or what is it, right? And the same thing.
Metalhead love song is about how much we love like demons and Satan and drugs and rock and roll. So love song will be death metal and be like, I love sacrificing virgins, and that'll be... No, I'm kidding. There's plenty of like with
I love your parties, man. I have to come over one day. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Now, even with extreme metal bands, there's death metal bands. There's actually plenty with in Scandinavia. Melodic death metal is really big. Finland, Sweden specifically.
Also
they have
Germany,
and they have tons of love songs, love related songs. There's a lot of the Finnish bands. The lyrics are a lot more like poetry, or some of them will be about legend or plenty. So there's metal that is extreme, that does the metal vocals that I do, that is still does like just straight up has love songs, or songs that could be considered love songs, right? And then there's others that just they're personal to whatever it means to somebody, but maybe not specifically a love song.
No, but of course, like what I also want to, I think it was Dream Theater, right? I once heard Dream Theater while I was moving from Munich to Berlin, and one of the people that helped me had a couple of CDs of Dream Theater, so we played one after the other, and they had a lot of love songs. I was surprised. Yeah. It's like, well, what is this? It's like, wait. And it's interesting because, of course, this is just entertainment. I mean, metal is the entertainment. That doesn't mean that these people are void or absent of feeling love, right? And passionate human beings that go home and have a family and kids. Of course, for them, love is an important thing. And like you were saying, sacrificing those beautiful virgins, right? Even that,
That's a
right?
form of it.
Surely there are songs that are probably like worded in this way, but even for for that reason, of course, that's a hymn.
Well, no,
It's
that is
sort of
true, because there's shock rock bands, and even like horror punk bands where they are love songs and they're singing about like Frankenstein or whatever specifically. But it is like a goth couple is gonna
right.
dance to that song at their wedding. So
Absolutely, for them, it's love, right? It's. I mean, we're having this discussion in the last couple of years, right? Where what is the determination of love? What is allowed? What can I say and pretend to do in life? I'd say, oh, I just love this, right? You can't take away my right to love something. Yeah, but of course, for everything there are boundaries. For everything there is common sense. For everything there is a certain value scale, right? That always needs to be respected. And therefore, also I love these conversations because of that, to get like these types of insights and other opinions and other facets. Because if there is something to art that we should learn, is sure, we need to double down on our art and exercise our skills, whether we're playing an instrument, whether it's kind of exercising our voice. All that is important to invest in our art, but our art will die inevitably if we just foster that and nothing else, because we need other input, we need other information, we need other sensations, right, that we have in private life, that we then again channel into our art, that we then kind of put into these musical experiences that we are discovering there in front of the audience.
yeah,
And
all art becomes stale when you stop experiencing things, when you stop
if
living.
it's stagnant, it's not living, it's not thriving.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. When I look at, this lyric here, right? When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, no, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. What we have every time we are encountering great lyrics and great poetry, every time that we are kind of listening to something that has a different quality, well, what happens is that the things become applicable in many different directions.
Yeah.
Usually, like great art, great songs, great rhythms. This is why classical music, right, is so incredible, because you can apply. Nowadays, people don't even realize how much melody actually that we're listening in pop culture actually is derived from classical music. How many keys, how many different instrument variation, all that stuff is actually coming from classical music being adopted by the pop music culture. And so therefore there is something about quality that is timeless, and it's always kind of rephrasable, reusable, recyclable, reintegrable. That's very fascinating.
Oh yeah, like a lot of my favorite, not even love songs, but just songs in general, are much older songs. I'm still always listening to like Frank Sinatra, and then old like classical stuff, the Rat Pack, everything. Especially if I feel like if you want to find really good emotional love songs, that's the best like area to look into, is back in time. I feel like music in general tends to get better when you go back in time.
Pretty much everything, I believe. Art, architecture. I mean, look at these incredible stone buildings from the past. Look at the architecture from the 20s. Look at art in itself, like what we now call art. Sometimes I go to these Art Basel, exhibitions. That by all means, of course, every artist has the right to express whatever he feels to express in that moment. But when I see the glued banana, like literally a banana was glued with some tape.
Oh yeah.
The canvas is like, all right. I mean, it's 2024. Come on. It's like, really, banana glued to canvas. I mean, yes, of course, I think it's the idea that counts. But like you were just saying, I think there's some stuff that is truly timeless because it was crafted with excellent quality. It's just excellent entertainment, and it will never die.
Yeah, those are the things that always last. The things that actually resonate with people is something that was made with real passion and excellence too. So,
oh, absolutely. When you see the word the night has come, right? What does that mean? How does that resonate with you?
I'm trying to remember how the song goes. I know you'd know this song. Can you sing like a quick verse?
Sure.
Well, I know
I had a little cold. When the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see.
So can you get copyright for just singing the song?
Probably. The computer doesn't recognize this gibberish. It's like, what is he singing?
It's like some weird accent. I don't know what's going on. I mean, yeah, it can mean many different things. It can mean literally like night's actually coming, and that's when this person tends to get lonesome, or it can mean like the eclipsing of their life, of reaching an end of time, or just a shadow of depression. That's what I think is really beautiful about music, is that it can be interpreted in so many different ways.
Exactly. So, and when the land is dark, of course, like you were saying, that's the physical land, that's the countryside, but it's also the land inside of us, right? Well, our landscape, our psychological landscape, right? So darkness is always a sign for, for isolation, for being afraid. Not always, but there's also something soothing and interesting about darkness, right? But I think when somebody starts, like an artist starts saying stuff like, hey, when the night has come and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see, so there is just one guidance, there's just one light source, everything else is dark, that of course sets the tone for maybe something scary, maybe something, there's uncertainty, there's maybe even fear going on, right? Because he even talks about that, right? Benny King says, no, I won't be afraid, right? Usually everybody else is. I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. And who is he talking about here?
Yeah, and the best love songs are always left open to where they're supposed to be applicable to the listener, whoever they're putting it on.
Absolutely, this could be God. This could be his partner. Right?
It could be. It's always funny when you hear old love songs like these by like Ray Charles and stuff, and they're like, "Oh, they were banging like all these chicks left and right, and just like constantly cheating on their multiple wives."
Right.
Sometimes these love songs, like, damn, this does have like really good meaning to it, and sometimes it's like, oh, this was really just kind of a smart move.
Yeah, I agree. Like the more you kind of find out about certain people and their private lives, and you think, oh yeah, you wrote this beautiful song, right? But was that actually an apology to your partner, or do you realize the hypocrisy here because you weren't behaving like that at all?
Yeah, right? Exactly.
He goes on. So if the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea. So this is a pretty apocalyptic scenario, right? This is a cataclysm. So the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall. So everything collapses. The mountain should crumble, right, to the sea. The very mighty mountains that crumble. And even
very overdramatic.
Yeah, it's truly dramatic. I love that, though. I love dramatic stuff. What do you think? Let us know in the comment section. Do you guys love dramatic love songs? Do you love dramatic descriptions?
I feel like that's kind of the best way to, or a very important way to do music too. Because I mean, like you're saying, this person could be writing about any little thing that maybe doesn't mean that much, but in their mind, maybe they're really creative and they just expand on like, now it's the sky that we look upon is tumbling down. We're like, dude, just like drops, or like we went on one date or something. You know what I mean? Like,
let me ask you too. No, it's true. But you're a songwriter as well, right? So does it happen to you that you write something at night and you think this is genius, right? Oh, this is a perfect line, and then the next day you come back to it and you try to sing it or interpret and look at it, and then you find like, oh, this is
that definitely can happen. Yeah, of course.
What is it that you think in that moment that makes you really like, why are you so convinced at night? Because this happens to me too. Also, when I draw something like, oh, this is great. Oh, this is like the good beginning of a drawing or something. I come back to it in the morning. It's like, what the hell? I have to correct everything. This is not working, right? I'm a disaster. I'm a failure, right? I'm disappointment to the muse. It's like, why are we so convinced at night? I mean, I know some scientific reasons. Of course, we have the daily circadian rhythm in our brain. Right. There are some, of course, we have energetic slumps, but nonetheless, I mean, we're talking about our judgment here, and sometimes our judgment is kind of weird, right?
Well, yeah, and also in terms of like writing music or just poetry or whatever, night is always used as kind of this like dramatic saying of either like the finale, the close, or like what will be the rest of that. So it's a very good metaphor, I guess, to use in lyrics and in poetry, where it could be like the night could be. It probably isn't in this song, but I mean, like night could be the end of your relationship, like the night is approaching or whatever. But
absolutely.
it's just I think it just depends on how creative the person.
Oh, absolutely. And I like I was saying in the beginning, I truly mean it. Also, like when you have, or when you have in your script, like let's say we're talking about an acting script, right? You have an acting scene, and the character is maybe kind of referring in his monologue to environmental circumstances, right? He's describing something. Let's say he gets this is like a typical situation. You get hired for a couple of days for Law and Order, for a crime series, right? And and usually you're involved in the daily cases that they kind of, that they are going through, that they're trying to solve. And so you're a witness. So you come in and you have your typical 2-3 days of shooting, where you have your long monologue, usually somewhere in the middle, where you kind of describe the whole scenery. And let's say you have this monologue and you're talking a lot about the night, like how the weather was, like you're describing the time. Sometimes, witnesses have to be very specific what time that was. So when you are acting out something like that, and you have a lot of descriptions that are kind of pointing to, how the weather was, how the environment was. And remember when I did this one review about what was it, where we talked about that she wasn't perceiving, like she was living in this 12th century time. Was this the Predator movie, the Predator prequel, where there was this tribe that was fighting the Predator, and of course she was this girl. But yeah, we talked about this. It was last year. And she was playing those scenes as if like being in nature and being in the woods was completely normal. Right?
Yeah, I remember this conversation now. I don't remember the movie, but I remember us talking about this.
Yeah. And so the same thing is true here. Like when you have something like night, or you have a lot of description about, the weather or the time, all the stuff like nature, that is something that definitely should go into your account, into the ambience, into the mood of the delivery. It's not just something regular that you say.
Yeah.
You're setting up the ambience and the vibration also for the audience, because then, of course, in the flashback, they will see, right, how you at night, maybe you went home and then you looked over your shoulder and you were witnessing something, right? So they want you to kind of reinstall that type of mood later on when you're talking about it retrospectively. And so these things are like very good indicators that we should kind of spot in our audition or in our scenes, that will give us an idea. Okay, the author wants me to be moody here. The author wants me to set up an ambience. The author wants me to get into that state, so the audience understands, right, like how the character was feeling when he was perceiving that, when he was going through that, and now he's telling about it.
Yeah, and you get some type of sense of that when you're listening to these songs too, and you can try to pick up what the artist was actually conveying at the time of the emotion. Then also it can be different for you, and
of course,
like if it's a cover of a song too, that it can take the same lyrics, maybe, but now they could have slightly different meaning, or it could just be in a different context because of the speed. It's always really interesting to me when you go back and listen to like popular pop songs from the 70s, 80s, 90s, whatever, and they sound really happy and cheery, and they're like really fucking depressing.
Yes.
Like, when you read the lyrics, they're about like a horrible breakup or like cheating or something. Like the Pina Colada song is my biggest example of that, where that sounds like such a happy, like, oh, we're on the beach. And the song lyrics are about a couple trying to cheat on each other and accidentally fucking each other.
And then incredible.
Right. Yeah, and reading the lyrics, you're like, what the fuck?
Or if you think about Born in the USA, right? Born in the USA. And you think, wow, yes, this is a very cool, upbeat song. This is about us. No, it's about the war and killing people, and how fucked up that is. And everybody's like, yeah, one. It's like, are you realizing that this song is actually about something else, right? And so that's also interesting how these things can counterplay each other out, right? And how interesting the composition is. And we will talk about that also, how the music kind of can help us. But like you were like pointing out before, it is clear that the author here, the songwriter, in this case, Benny King, that he wanted us to kind of perceive a very dramatic scenario, right? The night has come, the land is dark, the moon is there's no other light, right? So the sky falls, the mountains crumble. So this is like, we're talking about the apocalypse. We're talking about, this is the end time scenario when the sky falls. So we want... No, please.
Which, when the person writing the song, the lyricist, probably is not literally meaning the literal apocalypse. This is probably a metaphor, a reference to their interpretation of what an event would mean to them.
Absolutely. I got something here that I have my tactical doodle, of course, as well, that I want to show you guys. I think it's kind of helpful to see what a songwriter thinks about when he's creating a song. And this, again, could also be helpful if you're a performer, if for whatever type of text, speech, monologue, because basically we're talking about the same concepts. We always have someone who sets out on a journey, who experiences something new, who discovers something amazing, maybe gets help, maybe has to fight against the enemies, or fight for his love, and then in the end there is the resolution. And so therefore, whether it's an acting scene or a song, or a monologue, it's pretty much the same concept here. And so this is what a songwriter goes through, right? In the process, when he wants to kind of, let's say we have a love song, right? And like, to me, a song, as well like as a great monologue, a great play, is always like an epiphany. There is always something strong going on after a movie, whether that can be a banal movie or very like, something like I don't know, like Top Gun. Nonetheless, I feel the epiphany. Or it can be something like The Last Emperor by Bernardo Bertolucci, right? Where the emperor gets dethroned, but in the end he's happy because he doesn't have to bear all the weight and all the gossip and all the manipulation of the emperor's court. So there's always an epiphany going on with us people when we are perceiving great entertainment, right? And so therefore...
But that's the same with me, especially with music too. I can listen. There's plenty of songs that I like that are simple, fun, whatever. But the songs that really connect with me have some type of deeper meaning to them. That doesn't mean they're the most like hard to play or complicated songs, but especially being a lyricist and going through lyrics, some lyrics I'm reading, like, these are bad. Like, can you try to put some type of like intelligence into your writing?
But like we have in here, like let's zoom out, right? Let's understand a little bit the whole concept. So starting from the core idea that a song is an epiphany, right? It's like when I met my wife, to me, like when I saw her the first time, I don't have no problems admitting that. To me, that was an epiphany, right? I saw her, I was completely like struck by lightning, understood some stuff about the future, and I knew, okay, this is already kind of transforming me. I'm already thinking about the future, what will happen.
You are the oracle, so you saw into the future and saw this beautiful relationship.
It's true. It's really what I did. I always say that. It's like I met her, and it's like, okay, sure, this is it now. I was completely like flabbergasted by this event, and that's also awesome. It truly is. But the same thing, of course, on a minor scale, is when you're going through a creative process, right? And let's say you write a song, and all the problems that are going into finding the right lyrics, the right keys, and the right wording, and changing, and until it's finished. Until you record and it's finished, and then you can perform it in front of the crowd. That process is in itself the hero's journey. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. Yeah, no, absolutely. I 100% agree. That's how I approach lyrics. Is this writing lyrics is the same way as like, what does the song make me feel? What do I want it to be about, and forming it in that type of way? It's like, at least the way I experience the writing process as the lyricist is when the band is performing, when the music is playing, it's my job to kind of be like the maestro of it and like interpret the wavelengths. I always think of music very much like the Force and like superpowers, because it is vibrations and energy. Yes, it literally is. Absolutely. So the lyricist's job is to kind of like take these weird sounds and forms already together, but like to translate them to what is it saying. So for me, I don't usually like write lyrics already and then take a song and like figure it out. I hear the music and then that makes me feel something. It makes me see something and like experience a journey. And then that becomes the like mental image, that like meditation becomes what the song is about. And then the lyrics become crafted around that. So it's very much
Rick Rubin is talking about this stuff as well in his last interview, I think, when he was talking about the new book that he published, right? That everything it is sort of it's like a vision that you have.
Yes. Yeah. And then especially I didn't know if you said that, but that's cool if you did. But it's the same with when we're practicing. I personally am trying to visualize an audience in front of you, how you're performing, because that makes you more focused than just if you're with your friends hanging out. And then especially when you're on stage, you need to fucking deliver. So you need to be tuned into the music, what you're supposed to be channeling too. You don't want to be doing a song where like if you're supposed to be doing this really beautiful emotional love song and you like clearly you don't want to be there, you're like sitting in a chair slouched over and you're like, I love you, babe.
Right. You want to deliver. You want to deliver the stuff. That's why I say entertainers are emotional deliverers. We are the emotional Amazon, package delivery service. Like
it's our job to navigate through the emotions most humans try to avoid.
It's so true, because we go through the conflict, we go through the opposition, we go through the sacrifice, we go through the suffering, and let us also know on Facebook and Instagram, guys, what you think about that. And that, because truly, what do we admire about the artist if not his capacity to go through the emotional stages of life in front of us in that condensed period of time, whether that's for a feature film of 90 minutes or for a great song for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. And he goes through that, right? Because we don't need to. It's like he carries our burden in a way. He carries our cross. And therefore, it's interesting that this epiphany, that this principle that the audience, the listener, the hearer of the song goes through that transformation, but it's his transformation. He probably sees different stuff. Like we all have different opinions on when the night has come, what that actually means, right?
Everyone in the concert can be having their own memories playing, their own image of what that song is to them.
And that is so magical about the performing arts, about the dramatic arts, because they are, taking you through that wave while you can be the observer, which is truly magical, right? It's and that travel, we guide people, right? We guide people through that story. And that travel, that happens with music. It happens with words. It happens with melody, with harmony, with tempo, with rhythm, with the right keys. And think about it. It's the same thing when we're talking about acting. Absolutely. What do we do? We guide them through the story. How do we guide them through the story? With our tempo, with our pace, with our speed, with our rhythm, right? Sometimes, like you were saying, I need to fucking deliver. And that's also the beauty of arts, right? Because one side of the heart thinks about the repetition and the mastery of the skill, which is almost like a mechanical process. I have to repeat it and exercise and perfectionize. It's almost mechanical. But then I need to also deliver. So I need also the passion of the heart that brings us to the last row. I can't just stand on the stage like I was rehearsing at home in my quiet, comfortable space, right?
Yeah.
And it needs to be translated to this bigger forum.
Exactly. And even when I'm like practicing with my band, or if we're playing live or something, I can like feel and notice when I'm performing, but it's just kind of like in the motions, and I'm not truly connected to it. And then I have that Luke Skywalker moment where I'm like, use the force and stop, and then you have to like, you're not getting it right. You have to like actually stop and let go and connect to it. It really is kind of like that in a way.
It's totally crazy. Are you kidding? When I started acting, like my first bigger gigs, I was like, literally what you were saying. I was thinking I'm Luke, right? I need to channel the force now. Luke. Yeah, it's really like to let go and control at the same time. And that's in the end, if you really think, I mean, these incredible scripts were written also and kind of inspired by Joseph Campbell. So what the fuck are we talking about? But it's no wonder that if you look at Star Wars, you have so many references, going into different like mystic teachings and analogies to religion. This is why they are so great, because they work on so many multiple levels. So Wyatt, the metalhead, thinks about Luke Skywalker before performing. The coach, when he goes on stage, thinks about Luke Skywalker when channeling his concentration, right? So we are using a movie reference for all of our specific, creative endeavors, even if they are, of course, I do believe in the Force as well, right? I just can't telekinesis. I can't move the pen physically, right?
Yeah,
maybe if I go to a Tibetan, monastery for 20 years and I focus hardcore and I do nothing else, maybe I will be able to pull that off.
If anyone could do it, I think it would be you.
Thank you, man. Much obliged. But you know what I mean, right?
It's 100%. That's how I feel too. That's why, like, as a musician and being so into music, I'm really interested in vibrations of like how the universe and how the earth is connected and everything, and also frequencies and how like sonar, how like birds, how animals can connect to different sounds and like different senses, they trigger different things. That is extremely interesting to me. And how would I not see some type of similarity in the power of music and performing and seeing what it does to thousands of people, creating that type of emotion or something? So that is really some type of like force frequency thing. I don't know, mystic shit. That
it is. I mean, art is mystic. I mean, we are channeling spirits, and not because we can't see them, they don't exist, right? We know that, and so
well, especially playing live in a band, there's times where you feel like you're out of your body, and you're like just watching that, and you're like, holy shit!
I agree.
Doing
right. That. We like sometimes you have crazy performance nights, and you play, and you're so focused, so concentrated. It's almost like you're guiding your body through it, right? And then you come back to this like, what the fuck was that, right?
Yeah.
What I've done here is I kind of took a look at taking a look at the Polaris. What is my North Star in the song? What is the North Star? Where is my trajectory going? Like if we look at the Stand By Me lyrics, the person is talking about that everything could crumble, everything could fall, everything could disappear. But that person is not afraid as long as that person has the companion, or if that is a spiritual companion like God, as faith, or like a physical companion like his partner. As long as these companions are besides him, as long as they're standing with him, right? He's not afraid of anything. So the trajectory of the song gives us this idea is like, hey, when you have friendship and when you have love, you don't even have to be afraid of the apocalypse, right? That is like the metaphorical trajectory, the metaphorical North Star of Stand By Me.
Right.
Do you think about that stuff when you write songs? Like, hey, what is my Polaris here? What is the one thing that I like to kind of express?
Yeah, absolutely. That's important to me. I don't want to approach songs and have them, the lyrics just be like filler, or just be like, oh, what would this thing be that sounds neat, throw in here. It has to connect with me and mean something in some type of way. Not to say that all of my lyrics have to be like super deep and like prosthetic or anything, but there is always a sense of, what does this song make me feel, and then how do I convey that feeling in the sense of like a story that like relates to it, or because a lot of the time I feel like it is kind of.
So you're saying you have more like an impulse that you can't really completely describe, like a feeling and emotion, and then you build words and pictures around it?
I would say that is that I get the feeling, I get that like energy first, and then I'm trying to decipher it and be like, what is it making me feeling, and what is that conveying in me, like images, emotions, feelings of certain things, and then I try to structure, build around that. So
you ask yourself, like, what is usually triggering this emotion? When I see this or that, or when I experience this or that, then I have that feeling. So maybe I want to describe that into the song.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. It's the band would be playing the music, and then I feel like when we're practicing, we tend to really connect on this wavelength where we can just feel it. We're all the same level.
I totally get that.
And
that's so beautiful about making music together. Like when you're jamming and you find out, look, you hit at a certain point.
You really do. You hit a certain point where you're just like on point with each other. You're like, you're not looking at each other, you're not talking, but you're all like following.
That's so crazy. Again, like it reminds me of Daredevil, what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's
like
a good way
seeing
to put it.
without looking.
it definitely puts like that. It creates these stories. I really think of music as magic in so many ways like
Oh,
this.
of course it is. I mean, everything is, you know what? We're going to definitely do also an open class about the scientific breakdown of what a sonar wave, a toroidal wave, scalar waves actually are,
That would
because
be cool. I would
that
love to do
stuff is
that.
the universe. That is the building block of the universe.
Yeah, I would totally love to do that.
Yeah, we will do that because it's, again, it kind of chips in also into this, and it gives us another perspective on how powerful sound is. What is sound?
Mhm.
Right? If you think
Yeah,
about it,
yeah,
everything is frequency, everything is sound. There is,
yeah.
I'm not really sure if the concept of a wave really applies. It's just the ripple effect of sound coming back and forth, back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, well, it's different like vibrations in the universe, like basically hold everything together, hold all the planets and Earth and make life like stable. And then those same
Right,
frequencies can be created by humans in like music form and guitars. And
right.
especially being a vocalist, it feels like this like superpower connecting to a sense of
Are you
when you're
kidding?
just
Of
controlling
course.
the air, doing these types of different crazy shit,
They
conveying
say
emotion through it.
they say that the when Prince and Michael Jackson were having, you know, when the problems with Sony started, respectfully for Prince and Michael Jackson, it was because of the frequencies. Remind you that, like, Prince and Michael Jackson were the only two people alive at that moment on planet Earth that could claim the master tapes and the bass frequencies that were programming their music with. And
Mhm.
that was the problem. Sony wanted to acquire those rights, to have also the right to change the bass frequencies and
Yeah.
the master frequencies that they were using when doing their music, and they were not cool with it. With Prince, somehow they managed to get him paid off, and he was rebelling, but then in the end I think he accepted the deal. Michael Jackson never sold his master tape rights to
Yeah.
Sony, never, ever, right? Because I said no, because that's the frequency I'm building the stuff on. You have to understand, it's not just, it's the lyric with the music, with the
Mhm.
pictures, with the frequency, building this
Yeah.
architecture that people understand what I'm talking about, even if they don't necessarily understand English or every single word, right? That's why.
Exactly, that's how music can connect with people. There's tons of metal bands that I love that don't sing in English, that I don't know what the fuck they're
Mhm.
saying, but it still connects with you, and it gives you this emotional impact to it.
So I have here the epiphany, the emotional impact, like you were describing, and the transformation that goes in it. Because the epiphany usually, I mean, in the song, whether the epiphany starts in the beginning, right? You kind of tell what's happening and then you break it down, or you build up to the epiphany to the end of the song. In the
Mhm.
middle, it's actually, it's very rare that we have the epiphany in the middle, like it would, for example, happen in a screenplay. This is where
Yeah.
songs and screenplays are completely different, where they completely deviate from each other. A screenplay finds, you know, the highest apex, the highest emotional climax in the middle of the movie, right? The
Yeah.
song sometimes does in the beginning, sometimes in the end, also sometimes in the middle, but not necessarily always like in the movies. More in the beginning, and then they break down the concept, or like building up like a ramp, like an emotional ramp, so
Yeah,
you
it's
can
usually
take
more
off,
like that is a good way to put
right?
it.
And then you take it off, and then you fly, and then the song is over, and it kind of reverberates and kind of echoes, and you kind of, you know, still in your brain while you're driving or while you're doing something else, right? It's
It's
crazy.
stuck in your head for days, you're just like,
It's
"God
second
damn
half,
it."
and damn, I want to get rid of the song.
Yeah.
No, I love to be like back in the days when we had quality music. Remember, guys? Remember Creative Community, also on Facebook.
Well,
Remember the times when we had quality music, right? On the radio as well.
I read about it in the history books.
And I could literally, like, songs would kind of be my companion for months. Like, I'm not
Absolutely.
joking. For months, sometimes even like a whole year. Like, I remember We Are the World. That song was, because we had fewer artists, fewer, you know, discs coming out, albums coming out. Of course, that meant also fewer artists having access to the publishing and distribution, you know, system that we have today. That is definitely like a negative aspect of the 80s and the 90s still, right? Because they
Mhm.
couldn't like produce as fast as and distribute like we're doing today. But you had lesser songs, lesser sound pollution, and therefore the quality of the songs was higher, because the artists back then, they really were set out to kind of, you know, capture you for an entire year sometimes, right? To write one song that could sell millions and millions of times over a long period of time. You could, pop back into the Billboard. It was still there. Billboard charts after 6 months, still there. After 7 months, still there. After 10 months, still there, right?
Yeah, it wasn't
also,
just
movies were playing way longer in the theater.
Yeah, you weren't trying to just get a viral moment for 5 seconds that we'll talk about and share for a day, and then it'll move on from there. It was like, like more or less something that was lasting. It's something that took more energy than just like a second TikTok clip or whatever.
I hope you're enjoying this beautiful episode of Open Class Doodles, guys. Just a little reminder, it's going to be next Tuesday at 6 p.m. because sometimes people get this twisted. So on Thursday, we have 3 p.m. like today, and White is going to join us also in the future. He's more than welcome. We're going to talk a lot about music this year, a lot about songs, and also explore his endeavors a little bit. And on Tuesday, it's 6 p.m., always Eastern Standard Time. And so make sure to kind of, smash also the bell button, the bell icon, so you get notified when we're kind of, going live, because it's different times. It's not always 6 p.m. So exactly, because people were missing it last time. And just to remind you also, we have a brand new website. It's readytoperform.com. Why don't you come over? Talking about performance, talking about songwriting, talking about public speaking, talking about, guiding your monologue to the next summit point of creative evolution. Come over to the COACHMC studio. Join us for a free trial session. Let's talk about this adventure that you have in mind, what type of creator, what type of spirit you are. Maybe we're a good match for each other, and then we can do something all together, whether it's for your portfolio, for a show reel, for your next audition, or just writing and the next big hit, right? Join us on readytoperform.com, brand new website with new videos, new resources, and it's gonna be a fun ride anyways.
Absolutely, tune in.
Absolutely. So our epiphany happens, of course, through the music, through the instruments that we're using, what we like to emphasize. But of course, the language is very important. What do we say? And like you were kind of mentioning before, sometimes a song is very direct. It's very on your on your nose, right? It's a very clear visual language. They're saying sometimes, I love you, right? And this is what they mean, right? They don't say, hey, I appreciate your smile in the morning, right? Say, no, I love you, right? So
yeah,
it can be sometimes
baby.
But sometimes it can be also metaphors. And again, it doesn't mean that you have to use metaphors in order to write great songs, or to use metaphors in order to, write great screenplays. But metaphors, the more you practice them, it's just a very powerful access to the brain. Sometimes not being forced to really literally say what you want to say, but describe it also in an abstract way. Don't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Even writing my YouTube scripts, that's very important that I do that. Like, I tend to not like YouTubers or any like review thing that's just someone going, I watched this and it was cool. And then, I did this and they did that and that thing. Like, no one likes that. You have to make it entertaining and interesting. And that comes through like use of metaphors and creative writing and really expanding your creative bounds, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I still do, to be honest, sometimes I get an audition, right? And since it's an audition, it's not really a callback. I mean, it's just the beginning of the casting process, right? And maybe I spot a word that I don't like. Maybe it's just too direct, or it's too lazy, or just I see something in the audition where I feel like, oh, this is too much on the nose. And then I write my own metaphors to kind of replace that word with my own wording, because I just find it more beautiful, or more also sometimes fitting the character that you're interpreting, right? Or sometimes the character is using metaphors that he really shouldn't use in terms of his education, his social background, like his upbringing. Is like he wouldn't use that type of metaphor. I mean, we talked about this so much also on Saturday Night Hypnosis, where this new screen, if we can even call them so, they write these hacks, right? They write stuff and they put it into the mouth of a character, and it shouldn't be there, right? It doesn't fit the character.
It's like dialogue that normal humans don't use, like in general, then especially this character wouldn't be using. That's what you really tell when it comes to like past stuff and now. With the way they convey like love in the past films, especially, is more or less usually conveyed more in actual like, oh, this is what humans tend to experience and relate to, and now it's just like stale cookie cutter like
It's
crap.
absolutely. So when you deem it necessary or effective or adequate, absolutely find metaphors. Or when it's too metaphoric, when it's too abstract, when it's too far out there and it doesn't make sense in the context of the character, maybe you go back to visual language then. Maybe you go back to something that is clearer, because there is nothing bad about, especially when you're beginning, right? Let's say you're a songwriter, you're just beginning, and maybe you don't have that much of a vocabulary, you don't have that hyper experience in writing songs. So maybe you start with simple language, with stuff that is clear, but where you put the emotion beneath that kind of fits the idea of what you want to express, right? The sense that you want to kind of give people, what you are really intending to convey as a message with that line. And sometimes that line is easy and not pretentious, and sometimes it's a bit more elaborate and more metaphorical, I guess. That's both okay. Just don't overdo it, whether in one or the other direction. Same thing is true also for the audition, right? If you change all the lines of your character, you make it like in a metaphor fest, right? Then it's like it's the character is not graspy anymore, right? You kind of strip off the traction of the character. Of course, the character needs still to be vivid and his language. Like, think about, would a cab driver talk like this all the time? Right?
Yeah, right.
Probably not. So find a way of inserting sometimes a metaphor because you want to convey like a nice moment, but always try to stick to the context of the story.
Yeah, exactly. And especially stick with the context of the song too, I think is important.
Oh yeah. Are you discussing a lot the lyrics that you're writing with your other band members? Do they, ask for explanations, or is this like a community writing process? Is this more private?
Honestly, no. The way that our band tends to write the like actual music, the bass, the guitar, the drums, and then they'll ask me input, like, what do I think of this or anything, and I'm usually just like, yeah, I like it. And then when I have at least most of the skeleton of the track, then I can start like formulating lyrics over it. And I tend to just do that by myself and then being like, hey, here's the lyrics that I wrote. But
cool.
But our band is really open to where everyone's open to present ideas. Like if our brand new song that we're working on, the bass player had a suggestion for what like the topic could be. So I do take that into mind and work around that and everything. And then if there was something in a song where I'm like, oh, that riff doesn't sound good, or maybe like try that, then they would like do that too. So my band is very open to everyone being able to say what they think and express themselves and like play their role.
Do you feel this is always the best way, or have you experienced it also differently in the past, or what is, or has this kind of...
I definitely think it's a very good way, because the band I was in before this, it was very clear, and I understood joining that it was the founding member. This was his band. It wasn't
sure.
Yeah,
it's like a restaurant, right? If you're like, if you're a chef that gets hired and the restaurant has a setup, this is what the restaurant likes to cater to.
That was exactly it. It's like, this was his band. He came up with the idea. He writes all the music. He writes all the lyrics. He does all of that. My job is to just do the vocals, and that was really hard because his lyrics were really fucking stupid.
A vocal prostitute.
It was hard because there were times when like these lyrics are really fucking bad, and like I'm the one performing them. Like I know I can write better, but it's like. But with my band now, I helped put the band together initially, and it was always viewed as a group project. So what we tend to do is, like I said, they write the actual music, and then I write the lyrics. And
I love what you I love what you said, that you are like building more like a skeleton as much as like the inner structure. It's similar to a monologue, right? Where you don't have everything, but you kind of build the skeleton, the structure of the monologue, how you want to go through the different emotional stages. And then by performing it and kind of bringing it a bit more, let's say, in this case, like performing it with the band, maybe in the acting case, kind of putting some costumes on and making it more and more like real. And so adding in more and more layers to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really, I view it like you're just, I don't know, all these different wavelengths, and you're trying to like just formulate them and like put them together so that's
I like that. I like that. Yeah. How important is humor to you? Do you have humor in your text? Do you have that kind of inserted? Are you trying to find like interesting ways of describing stuff, or is this is just
I
not the style of your band and where you usually sing?
Well, that depends entirely on what I'm writing. In my
Hmm.
band, no. In my band, it's usually an outlet for much more like either darker, more introspective, serious subjects. But
Hmm.
that said, like when we're in band practice, we are always making jokes and talking shit and like
Hmm.
making fun of our own songs. But then when we're playing the songs, then we're like serious
I
about it.
that's
But
that's
then,
cool. That's cool. So this
yeah,
is
it's
where do you use the humor to kind of de-escalate a little bit
absolutely.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I always say that we're very serious about our music in our band, but we don't take ourselves like seriously. We
Yeah, I
are
think that's very
constantly
cool.
like cracking jokes all the time and like making fun of each other, but we all know that we're like just playing and not like actually,
Right.
having any
Like
beef or
on
anything.
Saturday Night Hypnosis, basically. Right.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly. We talk the exact same way, pretty much. We're like just talking shit the whole time.
I love
But
that.
then, when it comes to writing for my YouTube channel,
Mhm.
humor is extremely important to me, and I'm
Mhm.
always trying to think of really funny, creative metaphors in my script
Mhm.
writing for that because. A lot of metal YouTubers or vloggers, when they go to shows or festivals or whatever, it is very kind of monotone, like I was saying. Just like I went to this, I saw this band, they played this song, it was cool, and I am just that's just not how I speak normally.
Mhm.
So I don't have like the technical knowledge to be like this song played in this scale and they use this and
Right.
that instrument and
Right.
blah, blah, but I can say this song feels like you're being assaulted with a jackhammer by the
I see.
by like a rabid hyena or something like that. And that's how I do tend to like to translate when I'm speaking. When I'm writing lyrics, it's different. It's much more
Mhm.
serious and like deeper
Oh, that
focus.
makes sense.
But in my normal life or talking or even like making characters or something, humor, yeah, is always extremely forefront.
Yeah, and by the way, guys, next Saturday during the free masterclass, one of the, we were also going to talk about, of course, when we're talking about the audition, like we're touching upon certain topics today, we're also talking about, of course, the text. We're talking about analyzing the text, like understanding where the humor of the character is, what's his problem, like what is dramatically happening inside of the character, because it's there are many aspects to kind of the world building and the character building, and having like also a proper text analysis and really understanding what you're doing there, like what the words mean, what the author likes to give us, right? Because I always say this: assume the author is right about everything, and that everything he wrote, right, is intentional. Especially with good material, exactly every point, every comma, every exclamation mark, every question mark is there for a reason.
Mhm.
Also on Facebook and Instagram, guys, if you want to join next Saturday, it's going to be like a hell of a masterclass, because we're going to dive in this, because I believe like every brain is potentially the strongest, the mightiest weapon in the universe, right? The only flaw, it's its user, like Einstein always said. And so if you really know how to use your brain, especially when we're talking about text analysis and how to extract the critical mass out of that, you can have a way bigger impact. And in my experience, and this is also what I get from hearing, and maybe you kind of, you can chip in this, is like when I'm listening to a great artist, like I'm listening to him, and it kind of evokes images, and he summons up, stuff in my head, because I know that he understood the text on a deeper level as well. That he's interpreting not only the words; there are more layers. That he kind of, has a connection to what he's singing or what he's performing that goes just beyond just the duplication of the words.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think is really important. That's what I try to put in my lyrics too, is not just surface level crap
Hmm.
of once reading and be like, oh, this song is about this, blatant.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's important for music, is that it kind of has the lyrics itself, the meaning has these like layers and like structure to it where it's not so just black and white.
I feel like the author is also giving us hints, right? Sometimes, words are getting over and over repeated for a certain reason. Like we think about Cyndi Lauper, right? Time after time, right? She is singing like a clock. Time. She is actually imitating with that melody and that singing, that bad singing of me right now. She's
Mhm.
imitating how the clock, right? The seconds pass by. So it's I would say like a sonar metaphor. It's not even a lyrical metaphor. It's like time after time. Of course, it's time, but she's doing it with her melody, with her inflection, with how she kind of manipulates the sound waves. And that's so when art happens on so many layers, it's good. It's good. Right? And maybe you don't like it because it's not your style, but you still respect the artist. Like everybody respects Bob Marley, right? Even though not everybody loves reggae.
Yeah, that's important for me personally, is that I'm very big on, there's plenty of bands that I'm not into, that I don't like, that I cannot say suck. They are good at what they do. There are plenty of bands where I'm like, I get why they're popular in their fan base and their niche or whatever. Yeah. But maybe it just doesn't hit that wavelength for me, and that's fine. And then there's the difference between that and then bands that are just shit and whatever. But
let's say movable. They need more time. More time.
They're young. They're still in their cocoons. Even there are plenty of bands where you can pick it up and be like, not my thing, but I see what you're doing.
I believe like also one big mistake is, and we're gonna maybe jump also to another song to kind of analyze that. Bach, the German classical composer, said his music happens not by hitting the note. The music happens in between one note and the other. It's the space that creates the echo of the music. This is where I understand the music. It's not the note itself that creates the music. It's the space that I give to the hearer to absorb my music. This is where the music happens. And I believe what translated it means is sometimes we have we have the necessity. We want to express a lot of stuff. We want to put as much lyrics as we can. We want to buff up the music, right? We want to create something epic, but it's not always necessary about more being better. Sometimes the space that you leave, right? Also, when you're having a monologue as an actor, leave the words, let them resonate for a couple of, even like a nanosecond, right? Don't follow up with the next line immediately. Give them their breather as well. Respect the audience, right? And they will respect you in return.
Yeah, the inflection of words is really what starts to give them their power, and then how the person takes it also. But yeah, especially with acting and monologues, as you know, you don't just say a word and just move on to like, I hate you, blah, blah, blah. You'd be like, I hate, or the way you convey it will mean a different thing. And it's the same in music too. Like something can really be powerful if you like hit it hard,
right?
Right. Or you can just get through it really quick, move on, whatever. And that depends. Sometimes that works for some lyrics, sometimes it doesn't. But I know definitely parts of songs stand out to me where you can you really feel the whole connection. I have that in my band with some of our songs where, I love all of our songs, of course, but there are specific moments where it's like, damn, like it felt like a bomb went off like right then or something.
I hit that one right.
Yeah.
And yes, of course, we, when we are in the creative process, right? When we are improvising, when we are like, it is okay to put out stuff. And I always prefer, I say this also to my clients, like right now during the practice, do more than necessary. So you have already a range. You establish what's my highest plateau of quality, of intensity, of output. Like go stretch yourself out, see where this kind of can take you on the intensity level. And so you have an interesting idea of how your range actually looks, right? But then again, it's like, now think, does this whole block of intensity, is this necessary to convey the message, or is even less more interesting and you leave a little bit more space to the audience as well? Because sometimes, you need the impact for sure. You need to wake them up, right? Especially in the beginning, right? Like get them out of their seats. But then maybe you want to kind of change a little bit the pace and want to give them a bit more space, and give more breather, let in a bit more of a field also of notions come in.
That's what I really love about classical music and experiencing classical music live and symphonies and everything is the respect for the music is so strong. You can hear the faintest note, like a whisper across the audience. Every time I've been to an orchestra, I've always like noticed that, like this faintest little note goes by, and it's such respect for music. And it also shows what you're saying. It's important. Sometimes the silence is important. Sometimes it's not, you know, the intensity, the loudness. Sometimes the emotional impact comes from a moment of softness or pause or whatever.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And especially when we're talking about love songs or love monologues, right? Romantic. You want the speech to be all over the place. You don't want the speech to cover the essence of what's actually, you know, like leave some cracks open so people can wonder and look into the core, into the essence of your heart. It's like, what is it that you're really describing? Because let's face it, right? It's all superfluous. Words are superfluous, right? Everything is superfluous. Like if you really love, it's just that vibration. People recognize, feel it. It's just that resonance, right? So the best thing would be that you don't even have to say anything, right? It's like like great cuisine. I have sometimes this thing, and I wonder what you think about. Like, I love great and fancy and beautiful restaurants. I love to go there, the experience, and how they sometimes deconstruct and reconstruct like a tomato and what they do, and it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
But fact of the matter is, if you want to eat a tomato, the best thing that you can do is just slice it up and put some olive oil and salt and just buy it. This is actually you don't need a lot of words and fancy ornamentation. It's just that. But sometimes we want the abstraction of that initial essence because we want to travel, because we want to get, you know, taught some other lessons, because we want other stimulus happening. And this is when we create art to explain something that is quintessential in our life.
Yeah, absolutely. I haven't really thought of it like that because I'm personally not into food stuff like that. I can see the appreciation for it. But yeah, I think that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you can. Franca Colognesi, ciao Lorenzo, come va? Sei ancora in contatto con... If I'm still in contact with my old acting colleagues, no, mi dispiace. I'm in contact now with White's metal. I'm sorry. I'm in contact with him. No,
he came over to the dark side.
Right. No, but it's the essence, I feel like, where people kind of really connect and understand what you're all about. And this is what they're actually interested in. It's that primal connection. I have here a song like and this is Louis Armstrong. Like Louis Armstrong, right? He talks about trees of green. Right, let's sing it together. I see them bloom for me and you,
and I think to myself, what a wonderful world.
I'm sorry.
And then, for example, on how the same lyrics can be changed, I know of a death metal. I know of a death metal band that covered this song. So, and it's the same lyrics, but you know, it's fucking like wildly out and crazy and everything.
Right.
So then the same lyrics just take a different interpretation.
Yeah, you can also rap this. I see trees of green and red roses too. I see the bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, right? As you can spin, like, again, like when art is so great that it has so many like harbors to attach to. Like there are many docks that you can like plug into from many different angles. You can attack this and have many different outlets of interpreting this. This is when art is really like timeless, right? And interesting here, I see trees of green, right? So we have color and perceiving, and we have a lot of, I don't think, again, right? The author is always right. There are no coincidences. Look at this, see trees, green, red, roses too. I see them bloom. There's a lot of double vowels going on, a lot of extended like sounds, right? This is a bit more kind of, it stretches. It gives you already like the idea this is a bit more epic, right? There's a lot of time that goes by here, and the descriptions are, you know, I see trees of green, so they are, you know, I see them bloom, I see them blossom up. There's a lot of life going on, a lot of, it's not when the night has come and the moon is the only light we see. Here we have abundance of light, abundance of color, abundance of life. And this is what a wonderful world. This is a perfect build-up for that. What we said, this is like the initial epiphany, right? This is where it's like, oh, I see all this, right? Look at this wonder. And I'm always thinking when I'm listening to this song or also reading the lyrics, like, do you have that sometimes, that you change the perspective of the narrator? Like, it's not necessarily you singing the song, but maybe like a person you're interpreting that is singing the song,
yeah, it can make it so like a song can make you think of a person and an experience they had, and relating that in some type of way. It kind of feels more like a play in that sense, where you're seeing another person like going through it. I do think people tend to mostly put themselves into a song, but definitely I think that can happen.
Yeah, because every time I read this, I think I hear babies cry, I watch them grow, they learn much more than I'll ever know, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think this love letter to the world is somehow Louis Armstrong kind of, going into the perspective of a watcher, of God, of somebody who's above everything, who sees everything, who kind of, he sees all the trees, he sees all the light, he sees all the kids, he watches them grow. So
it has this kind of like overall sense to it. And it's interesting. A lot of times this song is used in kind of a depressing context, like in a film trailer or something. When it's shown, it's usually like shit falling apart and like exploding or whatever.
Right.
So, and I do think the song itself does kind of have this kind of almost dreary overtone to it, even though the lyrics, if you just read it, it seems like this kind of like bubblegum poppy thing. But why do you think the actual like kind of vibe of the song is a little more, I think, a bit more melancholy than it's great,
yeah, no, for sure. Because you can tell that, like, one, he can't intervene, right? I see all these people doing that, but I can't really touch them. I'm not part of them, right? So that is sad. But you see all this stuff and you can't be part of the fun. And then also in the faces of people going by, I see friends shaking hands. How do you do? They're really saying, I love you. It's like, nice meeting you, nice being here, but you are not a part of this, right? And you see all this life going by, and somehow nobody looks at you, nobody perceives you. So there is this melancholy there that I love a lot about the song. And you were just hitting on something that I feel is very important also for an acting monologue or anything, for what it's worth. Like, even a great presentation for a pitch meeting, you always want to tell what's bad about the world and how you can solve the world's problem with your invention, with your patent, with your service, with your new product, right? My cell phone is going to revolutionize, help everybody out there, because you have a bad outlook, right? The song is there also to transform you, because you were starting from a place where maybe there was suffering, maybe there was like a bad moment, and therefore you had finally the strength, right, to kind of sing this and get it off your chest and maybe inspire people in the process that are, going through a similar time. So yeah, like a happy song about happy people that are having a happy end. Probably nobody wants to buy that, right? Even Barbie Girl, right? I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, right? So it's like I'm caught in that world, right? I can't get out of it. Even that song that on the surface sounds super poppy and psychedelic, and somehow has like a sad connotation too. Like I'm trapped in this world. I can't get out of here, right? And so we want that story to kind of move on. We want to travel with the song. We want to go through the emotional midnight.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. A good song kind of takes you on a journey and takes you on this kind of path. It feels like you're going somewhere.
Absolutely. We need to go somewhere. We need to travel in our stories. And the same thing is true, like when we're performing this, like what you were saying, is like we can't perform this out of the comfortable. And I have a video about this, like contrast, conflict, and composition. I think something like that. It's an older video on my channel where I talk about the people, when they prepare for an audition or for like a stage play or something, that they sometimes are handling the audition prep too comfortably. They're just sitting there, they're just reading text, you know, they're going through. It's like, yeah, I memorized it. But later on, like White was saying before, you need to project the stuff. You need to deliver. You need to get them out of their seats. If you behave comfortably, you know, you're not matching the energy level of what you like to achieve later on. So you might as well also, when you prepare yourself, get into that, almost like into that performance level that you later would need to appreciate anyway. So you kind of already kind of flex your muscles and you get a sense of how intense this is going to be later on. So get out of your comfort zone, I guess. This is what I want to say, right? Because it's a journey. You want to deliver. You want to take people with you.
Yeah, that's an experience that I definitely had starting to get into these creative endeavors that I do. Everyone has this moment when you're starting off where you're just like kind of panic, stage fright, trying to settle your nerves. And then you'll work through that and be like, okay, I need to be calm and like focus and just do this. And then you can kind of become, like you were saying, like too calm, like almost too used to, okay, it's not a big deal. I'm just learning this. But then it's stuck in your head of like, it's not a big deal. So then when you're on stage, and you kept telling yourself it's not a big deal and you're giving an extremely lackluster performance, you have this moment where you're like, oh, people are watching me. I need to make
make that. Yeah, right. I wanna do something. Let's see if that really works, if you can hear it. Can you hear that?
No, I'm not hearing anything.
Okay. So I have to kind of figure out a way of how to do that, because I wrote a song and we're gonna present it in a different way. I have already an idea how we're gonna do that next time. So that's gonna be like a surprise for the next show. Do you have a favorite song? Do you have a song where you say, this is my absolutely favorite song?
Like of all time? Fuck.
That's a nice song. I heard about that.
Yeah, that's a great song. I will say I have two that come to mind. One is more simple and straightforward, but not even so much so as Ace of Spades by Motorhead. Just because to me, Motorhead is the greatest band of all time. They were the definition of rock and roll. If you took rock and roll, speed, alcohol, badassery, and just mix into one pot, it'd be Motorhead.
Right.
And then Ace of Spades is their staple, just like not giving a fuck, living life the way you want to song. So that sends the same like chills down my spine every time I hear it.
I love that.
But a song that would be more appropriate for this, it's a long song to be fair though. There's this band called Nightwish. They're a Finnish symphonic metal band. They do metal that sounds like movie scores. So it's like really epic orchestra, like classical stuff, and then operatic singing stuff.
Nice.
They have a song from an album that is pretty underrated, but the song is called "The Poet and the Pendulum," and it's about like 12 minutes or so. And for talking about songs that take you on a journey, that is like a book, like goes through so many different sections, so many different like instruments, and it's a very huge epic. But the lyrics are really emotional and really connect on a level where I feel like you can interpret it like it's a story that you're reading, and you can put yourself into it, and you may not be experiencing directly what the lyricist had in mind, but it is enough there to like puts you on your own journey to fill in with your own stuff, your own emotions. So I'd recommend checking that song out. It's a favorite song of mine. I wouldn't say it's my favorite song, but it gets the 10 out of 10 metal savior approval.
I like that. When you just said that about the story, it's long. I thought about Meatloaf. Like I would do everything for love, right? But I won't do that. That it's almost like an opera piece. I would do anything for love. Won't do that. It's an epic song.
Yeah, a song that I love that is a love song, but still a bit more twisted when you really get into it, is the Phantom of the Opera song, which Nightwish that I just mentioned actually covers. But that song I think is extremely powerful, and that's one that I've always wanted to perform. I want to learn how to actually do that.
Nice.
And Phantom of the Opera, it's love, but it's twisted because it's this like obsessive love that like seems romantic on the surface, but then kind of has
I
all this,
see.
like darker shit and
Nice.
everything. Because I'm
When did it
assuming you know
actually
Phantom of
start?
the Opera.
Yeah, yes, I saw it a couple of times.
Yeah.
Beautiful tale, and it's as far as I can tell, I was in Paris a couple of times. This is a true story. Like everybody, like it's like the golem in Prague. Like the
Yeah.
older Parisiens, the l'ancien Parisien, how they call themselves, like the older inhabitants, the real inhabitants of Paris, they believe there is like a phantom, some sort of a vampire figure living in the sewers in the canal system of
In the
Paris that is
catacombs,
so fucking like it's an extensive network of mazes that are, you know, being of course closed down also by the government because people would lose themselves there. There is this tale about that the Gestapo headquarter and the Resistance headquarter fighting against the Nazis, they were just one tunnel length distant from each other. They had both the headquarters beneath the earth, and they were so complicated, the system of mazes down there, that they never met. Even though they were just one tunnel length, like literally a couple of feet
like,
distant from each other. He's like there, right? But they never actually met because they branched out. And so people in Paris really believe that there's a phantom living down there and kind of on his float and also be.
I mean,
there is.
I've been through the Paris catacombs a couple times, so I could
Mhm.
definitely see where that thought would come from.
Yeah, and in Prague we also have that they believe that the golem is living down there. It's very interesting stuff. Like, but yes, like this is what songs do to us, right? We remember images, we evoke pictures, we are connected to an emotional island. All these things are super like powerful instruments in order to propel also our message. And if we know how to use them, manipulate and emphasize on them, of course through practice, it's not going to work tomorrow, right? It's not going to work immediately, but if you constantly work on really expressing what you are intending to express while using a metaphor, while using visual language, while using something else, right? But you want to express what you have inside, right? That at a certain point you will find an entrance and an access to that. But let me ask you one of the final questions. Like, when did you start like understanding, oh, I want to be a singer? Or what was it like an experience, or what happened there?
That goes back a very long time. I mean, I guess it would have started when I first discovered metal music. I think I've always had this like entertainment bug, as far as I'm aware. I remember my mom telling me like going to Universal Studios when I was a little kid, and I think I like got on camera or something like that. But I've always had that entertainment bug, that performer like gene in me, I guess, and never really knew how to channel it or anything. But once I discovered metal and metal music, and music became such a prominent part of my life, I would start seeing myself as the vocalist. Like every time I'd listen to a band, I would kind of like fantasize about if I was the vocalist performing the song. And
Interesting.
and looking back on it now, I'm really interested in what like parts of music people connect to, because I always connected to the vocals and the lyrics. That was always like would make a break or song for me. I could love the guitar, I could love the drums, but if the vocals were shit, I just couldn't do it. But then other people, are focused on the guitar and don't care about the vocals. So I really wonder just why I connected to that in the first place, and what just kind of sends people in their like direct musical direction of choice, I guess.
To me,
But
it's the rhythm was always like the thing that kind of activated me.
yeah, I can see that. And but so I started having the dream of being a vocalist, but I was really lacked confidence and didn't know like how to start or anything, until eventually I reached a point where much later on was finally like, okay, it's never going to happen if I never actually try, so I
Sure.
might as well try
Very
to
good.
like suck up any like lack of confidence I have and try to like actually practice it and learn it. And since I didn't have any confidence starting out with it, I wanted to learn how to actually do it, so I started uh studying how to actually do metal vocals. I found a coach specifically for that, and then as I was learning how to actually do vocals and connecting with my own body and like muscles and the connection of that. At the same time, I was exploring acting more and just mindfulness in general. So it all kind of just becomes a part of the same like person, I guess, where I'm
Yes.
learning all these Jedi Force training in different avenues and connecting them all together.
Yes.
But yeah, it was always the desire of me of the desire in me, I guess, to express myself musically in the form of lyrics and voice. Because I've tried playing instruments before, and like I could get like moderately okay at them, but it just did not have the connection to it.
Right.
So
Right.
but when I'm practicing that, like practicing an instrument was just so fucking boring to me. But practicing my vocals, I do feel the connection to these wavelengths and everything. Um,
To the sonar waves. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Same thing over here. Instruments, I love them, admire them. I can go to classical piano recitals for hours and days. But when I have to play it, it gets boring to me. I don't see the
yeah.
mechanical execution to be really a connection to my spiritual intention. And so I need to do it with my voice. This is where I find the connection then.
Yeah, that's the exact same for me. Like I love and appreciate those instruments for sure, and you can have fun with them. But it's very it feels the voice is more spiritual for me. It feels
Yeah.
more where that is myself being expressed. So learning how to shape and form that, it felt like it was finally getting to do something I'd always wanted to.
And where is this your musical travel bringing you ultimately? What's your goal?
Oh God, I have no idea. The biggest metal band in the world, the biggest, most important band. All other bands will quit. We will destroy all other forms of music, and then our music will be like Kim Jong Un's photo in North Korea. It will be
And don't
mandatory, and
don't forget
everyone.
the virgins and the volcano, right?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
just a daily like hobby. But no, honestly, I haven't really thought it much out, and it's funny because when I was a kid, like striving, dreaming of being a performer, I wanted to be on tour, have like be a good growing band and everything. And then that's as band has actually started to happen to become an actual musician and everything, it's
Mhm.
become much more of a like just see how it goes, I guess.
Sure.
We have plans, like we take ourselves seriously. We have our EP that is recorded, being finished right now, and then will be released. And I'm excited to release that to everybody. And
Nice.
we are playing a metal festival this year in Slovenia. We're going all the way to Europe to perform, which is fucking crazy.
That's
Um,
incredible.
it's really,
Yeah, also Jimi Hendrix got famous in London. He didn't like break through over here. Carlos Santana got famous in America, not in Mexico.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so sometimes we need to go a different route.
Oh, I'm super excited for that. It's unbelievable. But it's we don't have a like I would say a goal we're striving for, but we do take the band seriously and are trying to keep it at that level and keep afloat with
Mhm.
as things go and everything.
I guess that's like I think that's a smart move. I mean, now you're focusing obviously on playing, on creating the volume, and if this keeps on and you keep constant at it, and you kind of discover that it's getting better and more traction, then all of a sudden, I believe, that you will start kind of making more strategic plans on how to kind of build something more out of it. But I think that's a smart move to kind of see where this takes us without too much pressure, without too many restrictions, and also a band needs to play a long time together in order to really become a band, to
Yeah.
really see if that works out. If we now can hire a production manager and go into a recording studio and really record an album, does it make sense, and all this stuff, it comes kind of naturally if you play a lot together, right? This is
Yeah,
where
yeah.
everybody. And so yeah, cool, man. And do you know when the mini album is gonna drop this year? Do you have already dates?
Very, very like very soon. Either like end of this month, next month. It is very close to being done. I do not have a specific date,
Cool.
but like within the following weeks.
Oh, cool. I wish I could be in LA or in Long Beach, like for the release party, for the party for that, man. But
Oh, it's
we
all
will have
good.
fun here.
You can come to Slovenia. It's fine.
We have to record a song together. Let's do like a helmet type
That'd be
of
fun.
House of Pain crossover type of production.
That would
Like
be
go with some
awesome.
hardcore rap into your. I would love to do that, man.
Yeah, I would be totally down. That would be fun. We got to do some type of like mix to do an intro for Saturday Night Hypnosis. We could have like
Yeah.
the metal vocals and the rapping.
Absolutely. Well, man, I mean, thanks so much. That was an epic conversation. I think we kind of, shed some light into the songwriting process. We looked at lyrics, looked at metaphors. We also got to know your story a little bit better, how beautiful and powerful this stuff is for all of our, also our other creative endeavors is, how we can use these ideas and these images for all sorts of communicational purposes. It's not just a song or not just a monologue, it's art, right? And like White was saying, right, like when he was exploring music, right, when he was hiring coaches to give him like the right instructions, all of a sudden the acting thing was also happening, right? Because one art attracts also the other art, right? It's more and more critical mass. So absolutely have fun with this, guys. Explore these concepts, write your own songs, produce, sing as much as you can, exercise, or
Make
for what
YouTube
it's worth.
videos.
Make YouTube videos, right? Write interesting scripts. Give people something to think about. Make them wonder. Give them the transformation, the epiphany, because we can all use some epiphany, some transformation, some beautiful moments in our lives, right?
I think that's an important thing, is try to make people think about something. I think that is really what surface level bland crap just doesn't appeal for me anymore. Something has to grab and make me feel like, oh.
Like I said, guys, we're gonna have a couple of open class doodles. Don't worry, White's Metal gonna be here for as a guest in the future as well, right? We just started this crazy adventure. It was big fun. Thank you so much, man, for your time, for your thoughts, for your passion. Also, I think we can all take a lot out of this. Also, creative community, go and check out White's Metal channel. It's hilarious, really cool stuff, great videos. And like what I love about him, he has also such an elegance with his scripts, like how he describes stuff, how he tries really to be impartial. Don't attack him because he's going to destroy you, but otherwise he loves to stay as objective as possible. I really appreciate that about this guy. And it's great knowing you, man, and great creating with you. Catch us both on Saturday Night Hypnosis every Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Catch me for the next masterclass, 12 p.m. noon next Saturday. It's going to be great. You can register down with the link in the description or directly on Eventbrite or through my link tree on Instagram. It's going to be a great show. Audition Tips Volume 2. Like I said, we're going to have a bit more specific, a bit more advanced tips and tools and insights on how to master the audition, which is such an important process of the entertainment world, existence, right? We need to go through that threshold of auditioning. And here we will have some powerful tools, also some great other creators joining me, and we're going to also talk about text analysis. We're going to use some of the stuff we also talked today in the Saturday masterclass. Like every monthly masterclass from the COACHMC studio, it's going to be completely for free. You're just going to have to register. Also activate the bell to always get notified when we're hitting out an open class doodle. Next one is going to be Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And in the meanwhile, I just wish you all the best with all your creative endeavors. White, and to the creative community out there, smash the like button in the end. Oh, we got a like right now in this moment. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Creative community coming out on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks Hypno, thanks Franca, TD, all the people that showed up today. I think that was a really cool session. We definitely need to make a couple of those. Maybe next time you bring your song, right, and we're going to talk about that, or maybe something that you
That'd be cool.
Like. Really interested to explore that.
Put one of my songs on here and we can go over the lyrics and everything. That would be fun.
So thank you so much again to everybody. See you with the next video. And now you're ready to perform.